Welcome back. Well, today we have a special guest joining us at the desk. Today is Congressman Rick Larsen.
Congressman Larsen is the United States Representative for Washington's 2nd Congressional District, which includes portions of Snohomish, Skagit, and Whatcom counties, as well as parts of the Island and San Juan counties. Born and raised in Arlington, Washington, Congressman Larsen has represented our community in Washington, D.C. for the last 18 years. Welcome, Congressman Larsen. Thank you so much for visiting with us today.
Thanks, McKenna. Thanks, Anthony. It's great to be here. Thanks a lot.
I think we'll start with the first question that everybody has.
Okay.
Why are you here visiting with us today?
I'm here at Totem Middle School to have a conversation with you all, but also to learn about the career and technical education programs that you have here at Totem. So part of that is having this conversation with you and learning about the role that the communications program plays here. I'm going to be talking to some other students a little later as well. And I'm going to end up at the Schoolhouse Cafe for lunch, eating a lunch prepared by the students here at Totem.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about doing it. It's an important part of my job is to learn about what's going on in our community, and one of the top things I want to learn about so I can be more effective in Congress is about the career and technical education opportunities that students like you have, in hopes that we can, at the federal level, fund those programs, help make them better, so that kids like you are better prepared for the future workforce.
Another question is, when thinking about your career, who or what inspired you to run for political office and why?
Yeah, great question, Anthony. I appreciate that. I get that question a lot. I get that question from 5-year-olds, and kindergartners. When I talk to them, I get them from people who are 95 years old who go to my town halls. So I think to think about why I ran for Congress or what inspired me is I'm one of 8 kids. So I was born and raised in Arlington. My mom still lives there. My dad was on the city council in Arlington for a long time, and before that he was on the planning commission. Because I'm one of 8, my mom was very active in Arlington school activities. She was never on the school board, but she might as well have been on the school board because she was always at school board meetings. She was always very active, and she pushed us to be active in our community in Arlington as well. And so being in Congress for me is really just an extension of being active and committed and devoted to the community that I get to represent. So that public service ethic is an important driver for me in serving the 2nd Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives.
As a United States Congressman, how does what you do affect our daily lives?
Well, I hope it impacts the daily lives positively. When you look at the things that I've chosen to focus on, they're issues that they are important here. So I'm on the Transportation Committee in Congress. I'm the only member of Congress from Washington State who's on the Federal Transportation Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives. And I think it is fair to say, and if you went home and talked to your parents or other relatives, they would tell you that traffic and transportation and congestion is probably one of the top 3 issues that concern their lives. And so I'm trying to make sure we get federal funding back here in Washington State to do things like fix our roads, fix our bridges, fix our highways, but also fund things like our sound transit, the build out of the light rail system and the bus systems that we have here in the Puget Sound area. So I hope that's impacting people's lives. I just met yesterday with some folks, a couple days ago with some folks from Island County about the problem of opioids and drug addiction, and that's an issue that's really prevalent all over the district I represent as well. So there's federal funding in place that we can help our local communities and local health agencies and nonprofits attack this opioid problem and get help to people who are addicted. And so that's another way that I can help. I'm also, finally, I'll just mention I'm on the Armed Services Committee, and we have a large population of Navy sailors and Navy families in the area, as well as a lot of veterans. And so being on the Armed Services Committee, I'm finding ways to be able to help our Navy families and military families in the area as well deal with some of the unique challenges that they have being in the military.
I'm sure those families would be glad to know that you're there helping.
I hope so. Ultimately, whatever we do it out of my office because it's the right reason, and hopefully if you do things for the right reason, then folks notice that, but that's not why we do it. We do it because it's the right thing to do.
And as us being middle schoolers not old enough to vote, what can we do to make a difference?
Yeah. You got a couple years left, but I would encourage you all when you're 18 to, actually I think if you're 17 now, you can register to vote, and then it'll kick in when you hit 18. Your registration will kick in when you're 18. There are a variety of things that you can do. You don't have to be 18 in order to doorbell on a campaign. So every year there are local elections, and every 2 years there are the national elections, and like mine. You can volunteer in a campaign and go door to door and encourage people to vote. That's one thing you can do. My sons growing up, we never require them to doorbell or make phone calls for me, but they would, and so they would be in the office making phone calls to people, encouraging people to vote. That can be kind of tough because sometimes you get the wrong number or you get the wrong person to talk to, and they maybe don't like me, and so they yell at my sons about me. But that'll happen sometimes. But generally, you all can get involved in making phone calls. But separate from politics, it's just important, and I tell folks this all the time. If you want to get involved in politics, first do the things that you love to do. So if you like volunteering to help kids, if you like volunteering to help clean up the environment, if you like any type of volunteering, choose to do that first. That helps your community. You don't need to do politics to help your community. And then if you do that, then other people might notice the good work that you're doing and ask you to do some other things. Maybe more complicated things that you didn't think you could do before. So what I try to really encourage people to do is find out the thing you love to do and then do that. Everything else will follow easily after that.
For our language arts teachers out there, what books or book did you love growing up that you would recommend for students our age?
There's been a lot of books published since I was your age, so people, the books I read were probably popular then. But just a couple of days ago was the 103rd birthday of Beverly Cleary. And I don't know if her books are still popular, but she's sold millions of books worldwide, and she's from our state. And I used to read some of her books, like Ramona the Pest and other books like that. But I'm also a big mystery reader. I like to read mysteries. So growing up, there was Encyclopedia Brown was a character, and that's maybe a 5th grade, 6th grade kind of thing. But there are also the Three Investigators series, and I read those. So I like mysteries. I liked science fiction a lot, and so I'd read a lot of science fiction. And these days, I still read a lot of mysteries and a lot of science fiction, and I read a lot of political history now as well. But it's been I'm always looking for new things to read, but I encourage folks to find out the particular subject matter they like, and then read books about that.
At school, we're reading To Kill a Mockingbird. It's very, very interesting and has a very good plot line. Is this the first time you've read To Kill a Mockingbird? Yes.
Yeah. You'll read it 3 more times before you get my age. It's one of the best American books written. It's considered that, and I read it as well. My son, who's now younger son's 19, he read it in high school, and students read it because it is one of the great books. One of the great American novels, and really worth reading. Yeah.
And finally, if you had a chance to go back in time and talk to your middle school self, what would you tell him, and what kind of advice would you give him?
I contemplated that question. Like, if I had to go back in time and talk to my middle school self, I was thinking about that, and I'm not sure I would tell them much. Only that you will. I guess I would tell myself, you're going to make the mistakes that you're going to make. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go back to my middle school self and tell him to change what he's doing, because I think you have to make your mistakes. You have to be met with the challenges that you're going to be met with. so that you can be the person you're supposed to be. And if you go back in time and change that, then you probably will miss out being on the person you're supposed to be. You do have to learn some of these things. You don't learn all the things from your parents you're supposed to learn. You learn a lot from your parents you're supposed to learn. But you need to reflect a little bit on the things that you do as you grow up, and decide, was that the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do? Should I keep doing that, or should I change what I'm doing? So I would tell my middle school self that, but I wouldn't encourage him to change. I would just encourage him to be reflective about what he's doing, and then let him decide if he needs to change going in the future. That's kind of what the approach I would take. So you're doing this, McKenna and Anthony. Do you guys want to be broadcasters in the future?
I've been contemplating that. It's very interesting for me. There are a lot of new things to learn, and a lot of new things I haven't tried yet, being here in the studio.
Yeah.
But I've grown as a person, I think, because my communication skills are better. I've gotten more diverse with my speaking.
Yeah. How about you, Anthony?
I believe that this class, it's definitely something I would want to do in the future, because I enjoy it, not because of the stuff that you are able to do in this class, but it also helped me work with others in cooperation and teamwork.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. I think when you do things like this, obviously you're in front of the camera, and you've got the camera people as well, and the teleprompter folks, and the people in the studio. But ultimately, to do all of this, you have to work together. You didn't do this on your own. You have to work together with everyone else here in the studio to make this happen. And that's an important skill to learn, how to learn to work with others, especially at the ages that you guys are, and your team is, because that's maybe something that folks don't get an opportunity to do. And great. What's your favorite book? You asked me my favorite book. What's your favorite book?
That's a hard question, because I don't really have a favorite book.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, McKenna?
I'm reading my favorite book right now. It's called Cinder.
Cinder.
Yeah, it's about a cyborg who, it's based off the story Cinderella.
Oh, okay.
But it's about a cyborg
who
ends up helping doctors trying to cure this deadly disease.
Oh, okay. So science fiction, but based on a classic story that we all know. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thanks for letting me come to the studio today.
Yeah, thank you so much for spending your time with us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.